Tina Yistelim in their BERUKU1 name. Alright, now back to Alexander, Alexander the Great, and his because we wanna expose this, we wanna show this as, to show you how this is true, how this basically
ransacked Greece in the past, and there's a score to be settled there, and he's the man to do it.
Alright, see, so there's a score to be settled, but check this out. This is the really important part right here. This is what we want to show right
One of
here.
Alexander's most potent war machines is the catapult. At the time, it is known as the ballista, from the Greek word ballin, which means to throw.
Alright, see, alright, that was one of his most greatest inventions. Now, this is when he was going and he was taking Babylonia, Persia, because this is very important, this scene that's going on, because it feels as though this is the same type of scenario, right, that we even looking at now, even with Alex Jones, right? This new type of science invention, and look how important this invention was that they had at the time.
It uses the force of tension to launch 30-pound projectiles up to 150 yards at enemy fortifications.
Right.
Catapults introduce this new element into Greek military history, that capital, science, technology now can win or lose a battle in a way that in the past capital was
engineer is stored in the city of Tyre.
Well,
so we look at that, right, and we understand that to be, that's the same as, it's just like with InfoWars Health, it's just like the health team and Dr. Is it Dr. Warlock? Excuse on because I may not pronounce that correctly. The InfoWars Health team, you understand, and the Longevity and the Tangerine products. These are very important because they're about health, and they're not, there's no chemicals in them. There's no poisons in them, like when you go to get some of these vitamins from the store, or you get some of these products from your store. So anyway,
what they do when they have full control of a country, what they do when they have full control of children. Because if you want absolute proof of what their goal is, what their plan is, you don't just have to go read the books they've written admitting they plan to exterminate the majority of us once world government is fully in place. Exactly. And they incrementally cut the resources off while posing as the saviors during the deepening crises.
So that's basically exactly what's happening.
It's all about crisis management, strategies of tension.
See, crisis management, strategies of tension. You see that? Crisis management. They want to manage your crisis. They want to manage who your Christ is. They don't want your Christ to be Jesus Christos and the Keramawi Haile Selassie. They don't want you to have the true Christ. They want you to have a different Christ. That's why it's a management crisis.
I have
strategy tension.
Received out of the National Archives restricted Bilderberg documents. I've talked to former heads of Special Forces Command. They all know what's going on.
All right. Now, back.
Erodos, Byblos, Sidon, all of them welcomed him and came over to his side. They deserted the Persian side. And it probably seemed to Alexander as though he was going to expect the same thing at Tyre as well.
Right, Tyre.
On the island city of Tyre, the strongest Phoenician power with a population of at least 40,000 is a different story.
Alright, now Tyre, right? This Phoenician city. So there was one, there was basically one part, and if you could even say of the government, like, for Alex Jones, like true liberals, like true libertarians, that they really know what being a true liberal is. A liberal is somebody who stands up for their fundamental rights, period. We're not going to go into what you think a liberal is and all. I'm just going by the definition, the true definition of what liberty is, or really what a liberal would be. A libertarian is. A liberal is someone who fights for fundamental rights, who fights for people's fundamental rights. Someone who wants all, basically a liberal is someone who wants all their fundamental rights. They don't want some of just civil rights or something like that. They want all their civil liberties. They want all their fundamental rights. Yes, civil liberties. One who is a liberal should be about civil liberties, right? And that's exactly why we see Alex Jones, and you see the name of this, right? It says Ethiopianism and Alexander. Now, there's something interesting about Alexander the Great when he went into to Africa, actually, when he went into Jerusalem, because what happened was he came to Egypt. They says, I think it was Egypt when he come to, that they told him, right, that this point they had told him, this was after this situation right here with Persia. They actually had told Alexander, right, check this out. They actually had told Alexander, you know what I mean, just like what we see over here, look, Jerusalem. Something about this Jerusalem, something about Egypt and Jerusalem. No, Alex Jones even might be, you know, you never know. He might even have a connection. You know, he may even be an Edomite Jew, even. You know, just there's a thought there. Just thinking about it, because Alexander the Great, when he went into Egypt, he was actually told that he was one of the children, right, or he was from the bloodline of Armain, right? Now we already know the titles, because now what we start to understand is that we know what Armain means. We understand what Armain, but at the same time, just like back in Egypt, they had a counter to what was original. It's just like you have the Messianic kingdom, and then you'll have like the so-called like the Masonic kingdom. You understand? And then it's the same thing as like you have the original, and then you have like the counterfeit. It's like you got the original pictures of Jesus Christos and Dingel Mariam, you know, and then you have the counterfeit. You have Lucrezia as Dingel Mariam, or the Black Madonna. Lucrezia plays the Black Madonna, or you have Kaiser Borgia from 1492 or 1496, something like that. The sixth Pope of Rome, his son, ends up playing Jesus Christos. He gets repainted as Jesus Christos by, was it Leonardo da Vinci? And then they have, or is it Michelangelo? One of them, right? And then they have the Lucrezia and the baby, which was Rodrigo. The baby Rodrigo, which plays Dinga Mariam and baby Jesus Christos, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing like with Armain when you look back into Egypt and Armain. So anyway, Alexander the Great, he was told he was from the bloodline of Armain, and he also called the Jews, or the Jews, the Hebrews, the true Jews, Ethiopians. He actually called Ethiopia, and he was said to be one of the ones who actually let them keep their customs over there in Ethiopia and whatnot. But behind Alexander the Great, there was some Hellenism that had came in. You understand? There was some Hellenism that had came in, but that's what we look at right now. This in today, where Alex Jones is a reverse. You understand? With Alex Jones is a reverse. It's the Hellenism is going away as more truth starts to come out, more starts to come out, like with World War II, and when they go into what's going on with the Nazis. But then they finally add the story of His Imperial Majesty Kedamawi Haile Selassie, and they understand the King of Kings and how Mussolini went into Ethiopia. You understand? And how there's that World War II connections are all about that that ancient truth or rooted Judaic culture, or they understand how the Duke of Gloucester went and delivered the scepter back to His Imperial Majesty Kedamawi Haile Selassie, and then people will be able to make the connection between who they call Jesus Christ, who is really a Jesus Christos, the Yehoshua HaMashiach, and who is the Son, and then the Father, or Jesus returning His kingly character, who is the Father, His Imperial Majesty Kedamawi Haile Selassie. You understand? And once you see, it's just like those parents that got picked up for the the marijuana usage and all that. See, if they were able to call these true names and they were able to truly pray and truly put their spirit right with Elohim, right? Everybody, if everybody would do that, admit and amen, they would actually overcome these things. They would be able to overcome these type of enemies, because these are shady tactics, or these are satanistic tactics, and it goes beyond white supremacy. We see what's going on with it, just like Alex Jones said, he's exposing the Anglo elite, right? And Alex Jones is he's one of the good. He don't want to be a slave, right? But at the same time, we need him to, he's starting to acknowledge, and we pray, Alex Jones, that you do acknowledge what happened to the true slaves and the Native Americans and the peoples who own this land and the people who were brought over here to this land as well. So as long as we get all Americans, you know, all peoples really to understand this, we can all start fighting for our rights and taking our things back, because it's not about no, you know, racism, but we understand how what they done with racism and really how they distorted the truth. You understand how they distorted the truth? So let's go over here to you know, whoa, yeah. Right, so we want to continue right here.
Initially, the king's son and some noblemen greet Alexander warmly.
Alright, now this is an important part. This part really important, because the king's men, because it's interesting, they greet him nobly. Now, it's the same instance, right, with Alex Jones. They know Alex Jones is keeping up a front. They know Alex Jones is fighting right now. They know he's on the front line. He's stuck his head out there. He's on the front line. He's fighting. So as the true, just like he had Larry Pinkett on the other day, and Larry Pinkett said something very interesting. But there was one of his talk shows, and we'll probably have to do a vid on that, because Larry Pinkett said something real interesting. The Black Panther leader, you understand, the official Black Panther leader, because some people say ex Black Panther. I don't know what are you calling them X for? They still supposed to be about the revolution. They always supposed to be about that, right? In spirit and truth. But we see the Black Panthers, which truly, once they understand, you know, we're Ethiopians, we can wave our true flag for our nation. You understand? Because there's one thing to say that you know, one is a Black Panther, but nationalistically, who are you? See, that's what we have to start asking all of them, especially those that claim to be Rastafari. You know, especially ones like so, you know, Snoop, that whole Snoop thing, really, he was on TV with Piers Morgan, and he was talking about banning guns too. But when they already used laws down even in Texas, like where me and Alex is at, you understand, in our areas, well, they already used certain laws against me as a minority, as a black man, and took my gun, right? My gun, and gave me an unlawfully carrying a weapon charge when I was young. You understand? So they do the same. They've been disarming us. They've been disarming people who are not causing any violent crimes. They're not out there gang banging, but are just regular parents who want to defend themselves, to defend their community. The interesting thing is that the Black Panthers, the reason that there was Black Panthers is because the Black Panthers were basically our cops. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, the cops were actually our terrorists. And that's what Antonio Bueller, when he was on Alexander the Great, when he was on Alex Jones' show the other day, that's what he was trying to expose. And Antonio Bueller is from Austin. He's from the Austin area. He currently, he does some work at a university. You know, he does some work at a university and some programs. I would like to get in contact with Antonio Bueller. You know, this is BERUKU1. You know, if you see I's channel, you know, send I a link or contact or something, because we must all unite. We must unite in spirit and truth. And as I said before, when I put on the vid, when I titled it, I put Ishkar, which is Mexicano. You understand? Because African American, that'd be like Judah. So that's Yehuda or the Ihud. You know, it's like where you get hood. And then you have Ishkar. But anyway, let's go back over here so we can look at the techniques.
But when he asks to worship at their altar of Heracles, he is rebuffed.
And there's this matter of principle. They don't want him to sacrifice to their god on the island. And that's what seems to have got him angry.
Now, This part is interesting because you know what I was telling myself actually, and let's look at that part again because they say something real clear here to Alexander. Right now, this is back when he was at the island of Tyre, right? Tyre, right? Back in Babylonia, Persia time, right? When Alexander the Great was going over and he was doing a conquering, and he had been going over for like 13 years, right? And he was, check this out, Alexander the Great, right? He was going conquering for years. You know, it's just like if you look at Alex Jones, because they say, we as a Rastafari, a true Christian, if you a Christian or you truly believe in Christianity, you would say you would judge a tree by its fruit. So by the fruit, it would show you would judge it. And that's how we were looking at Alex Jones. We were actually in the Wikipedia looking at Alex Jones and some of the things what they were saying about Alex Jones back in the day. And Alex Jones really, it's the same thing with Alexander the Great. You understand? Even like, even we was looking at this picture right here of Alex Jones. He looked like, kind of like warrior type. We're ready. You understand? Like he's ready. But the thing is interesting because this part right here, right, where they tell Alexander the Great, they basically tell him, right? They basically tell him you can't eat with us, because some say that, and it's weird because just like I was looking at Nostradamus and how Nostradamus actually mentions His Imperial Majesty Kedamawi Haile Selassie BERUKU, but they kind of switch it off real fast because he actually calls him the postulant one. He says that he's the one who had warned JFK, or he's the one who had warned John F. Kennedy. He was the one who had warned him. And Nostradamus spoke of that. Nostradamus said some interesting things. Nostradamus said, which by the way, he was said to be Jewish, or he was, he was Jewish, or he was from France, right? And he was Jewish, right? Nostradamus, but basically he was a Hebrew, is sort of saying. He probably was really a Hebrew. Who knows what type of whitewashing they did with that? Because like they whitewash everything. I mean, if you don't understand that, you're an idiot. Everything is whitewashed. That's just part of the techniques of the instruments of the art of war. That pendulum technique. You understand? They do that with everything. You understand? But at the same time, we looking at right here is basically, they told Alexander the Great right here, we was looking at this, because they basically told him, you can't eat with us. They basically told him, you can't eat with us. And I was just about to, who was I referring to? Because they told someone else actually almost kind of, same thing like they did with Nostradamus, like I said, because they kind of changed it up for themselves a little bit. So you got to kind of pick the truth out of the nonsense, because they might not want you to know everything. But anyway, they tell Alexander at this point at the island of Tyre, he's basically asking them to eat, or he's basically asking them for his portion, or for a portion. Basically, he's telling them to do righteous. It's like he's telling the bankers, look, listen, you need to be fair. You need to be fair at this point, because you got to remember how Alexander the Great was raised. So that you have to look at this in the same sense, right? Alex is really he's telling them, look, we're exposing you, we're telling you, we're making you. So now you need to give it up. We need our rights. We want our rights. You understand? And it's the same thing with Alexander the Great. Here he basically telling them. So they said that he said, right? This is what they said. They said that they told him, because he said he wanted to worship their gods there. And they told him, no, you can't eat with us. It's the same thing like the the private bankers, the globalists. Like, no, Alex Jones, you can't eat with us. You can't get what we got. And the rest of them can't get what we got. And we're going to do y'all just like we did those blackies, those niggers. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but you have to listen to that type of language, because that's what they fucking done. You understand? They want to take everything, just like they stole from us. So now this must reverse. All talking about this new world order, it's Jah's order, it's Egaziah Behel's order, it's Jesus Christos order in the name of Gedamawi Haile Selassie. Right? So let's watch here with Alexander the Great.
Initially, the king's son and some noblemen greet Alexander warmly. But when he asks to worship at their altar of Heracles, he is rebuffed.
And there's this natural principle, they don't want him to sacrifice to their God.
So they basically told him that, here they say, now check this out, it's interesting. They say they don't want him to sacrifice, right, to their God, right? Basically, he couldn't come in, he couldn't eat with them. You understand? He couldn't dine with them. He couldn't have what they have. You gotta remember, they were going on they just came from another city. I'm sure that they were hungry and everything else. And why were they on the outside of the city? You see what I'm saying? They were on the outside of Tyre, and they told them no, they couldn't come in. So watch what happens next. This is interesting.
And that's what seems to have got him angry.
Alexis! Malacca!
That's interesting right there. I like that part. I'm gonna play that one more time. For some, you gotta get it from
the
there.
altar of Heracles, he is rebuffed.
And there's this natural principle, they don't want him to sacrifice to their God on the island. And that's what seems to have got him angry.
Alexis! Malacca!
This is junk. So now he's pissed.
Alexander decides he will take the city by force.
Alright, there we go. So he decides he's going to take it by force, right?
But before he does, he gives the Tyrians one last chance to cooperate.
See?
He sends unarmed messengers to the city to offer them an opportunity to surrender.
Yep, we see you.
By this point, however, the Tyrians decided, no dice. It's all or nothing. And so they answered Alexander by taking the two envoys up to the walls, and in full view of all the Macedonians and all of their Phoenician allies, they cut the throats of these individuals and they tossed them off the walls.
Now, interesting thing about this. Check this out. They cut the throats of these two individuals and they throw them off the wall. Now, if you've been watching Alex Jones show, you know that there was a couple who just got arrested, right? A couple who just been arrested. I think they had probably some marijuana charges, something like that. But anyway, their children were taken away from them. You understand? Their children were taken away from them and given to, I think, the grandparents. Right? And it said that they went, tied the grandparents up, took the kids, and took off to Cuba, right? Because really their rights are being violated. And even when they asked even when they asked the guy who the lady, the mother worked for, the mother of the two children, they asked her, they said, what kind of lady is she? And they was like, oh, she's a very good woman. She's very nice, care very much about her children. Even when they got the kids back, they're like, the kids don't even know what happened. Yeah, because they were with their parent. You just took parents away from their children. So they just took these people right in front of everybody's face. Ain't nobody said shit, and ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it. But the interesting thing is that they still already do that. They already do that. Guess what? To who? They do that to black and brown people every day already. They were already doing that shit. That's what we're trying to say. So, therefore, we have to speak out for each other. Now, the problem is that y'all can't be lazy, right? Y'all got to speak for us, too. Because remember, they did it to us first. So, now they're doing it to y'all. Even though it's even Alex Jones, we know it's not yours, because you don't belong to them. Right? Because when you've been born again in Jesus Christos and the Keramawi Haile Selassie, BERUKU, you belong to Jah, you belong to Yahweh, you belong to Elohim, right? You be one of his children if that's the step you're taking. Because we feel like these are the steps you're taking. We're coming to very serious times, which is good, and we can overcome the enemy. We can really overcome the enemy. So, like we said, they use the InfoWars tag on, I think, the mailbox of the couple or something like that. They used the InfoWars tag on the mailbox of the couple, and they said that the couple basically stole their kids. You know, that these people basically had stole their children, and then they used the InfoWars tag like they were some anti-government type of people. This is what the media did. They did this. So Alex Jones, Alexander the Great, he had to expose some of the Babylonian bullshit. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what he does. He's an anti-globalist. He exposes the Babylonian bullshit. You know, it's the same thing with Alexander the Great. Even though, you know, Alexander the Great still needed probably a lot of understanding. He probably understand a whole lot of things until he got within close to inner Africa. You understand? Which is true. And from our understanding, from reading in history and from reading work, he actually didn't until he did actually get to these places. So it is our job to help Alex Jones, and Alex Jones' job to help us as well, as Ethiopian Hebrews, as true Beit Israel, and as righteous Gentile and righteous people who want to fight for people's health and people's well-being. You understand? And have to fight the enemy back. Fight for your rights. It's very important that you know, or you're aware, and you have paperwork, so when they come to your door, or you got to go to court, or you need to take somebody to court, you'll have the right paperwork. You'll be your own lawyer, and you won't have to go get a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the problem we have right now, because the lawyers work for them. They want to fuck us too. Right? So, let's do it. So, right. So what were we saying? That you see how right here, the pressure got put on them, like, hey, let us eat, right? Alex, you hear me, Alex? They said, let us eat, and then they go and do what? They cut the necks of two individuals. Alex, you should actually have me as a partner, right? Like in a side, like a Rastafari, like extra co-host there. You know what I'm saying? We can make it an extra part of your show. You know what I mean? BERUKU1, you know, representing for LOJSociety.org and Ethiopian World Net and Rastafari Sabbatical, you know, in spirit and truth, representing Rastafari all over the world in the many mansions of our Father's house, in the name of Adoninu, in the name of Adonai, in the name of Jesus Christos, and the Keramawi Haile Selassie Baruchu Igazia. You understand? But let's finish this off.
It's a pretty stark answer, and it's not one that Alexander received well.
Right, see, so we ain't received that well. He ain't received that well. And you know, it makes me rethink the whole movie on Alexander the Great. And I notice how Hollywood try to make him look pretty bad. They try to make him look pretty we know what they did to him. They put him in makeup. They kind of made him look draggy. Like, you know, like a drag in the butt, you know. Like, you know, like what they call drag now. Like, almost like RuPaul-ish. You know, that's fucked up, though. If, especially Alexander's character, when we read in history and we read how he let the Ethiopians keep their customs, we wonder if this is some Roman shit. Maybe they did that on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, make Alexander the Great look worse than what, you know, some of the things that he actually had done. You know what I mean? Because they had brought out a new order after, you know, used through Alexander the Great. They brought out another type of order. So now what's happening, right, is like, you know, what goes comes like karma. You know what I mean? It's like the beginning is like the end. So now what's going on with Alex Jones is a reverse. So instead of them bringing that confusion like after Alexander the Great, now we're going into the times of Alexander the Great, and we're going to a reverse. So Ethiopia is getting it back. But remember that Alexander the Great, he was the one who called the Ethiopians Ethiopians. He didn't call them Africans. He called them actually by their true rooted name. You know, and we read that, and I believe Wallace E. Budge testifies to that in his introduction in the Queen of Sheba and her only son Menelik, that book. So we'll have to go and get into that so we can show that.
In 335 BC, he crushes rebellions in several areas of Greece,
What?
most notably the city of Thebes.
And the city of thieves. And the city of thieves. And the city of Thebes. The city of thieves. But interestingly enough, though, you know, to say that we are in the same area, and then we have a connection with our brothers and sisters in New York and California, and then we look at up in Chicago. You understand? But you know, Alex Jones we need to get behind Alex Jones, and Alex Jones, he needs to come behind us as Rastafari, spirit and truth, and true Ethiopian Hebrews, and all the many mansions of our Father's house in spirit and truth.
Takes the city and raises it. It's an absolute shockwave that goes through the Greek world. Thebes is one of the great and most prestigious of the Greek city-states, and now it's gone.
6,000 Thebans are slaughtered in one day. This ruthless action demonstrates Alexander's psychological advantage over his enemies.
He was capable of doing anything at any time, so he's impulsive, and that gave him sort of a sense of deterrence among
Oh, whoa, Rastafari. Shalom, shalom.